Action games may very well be the future. Some of the biggest gacha games at present utilize action combat, and some of the most ambitious upcoming gacha games seem to as well. Coincidence? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Nevertheless, I decided to compile a list of what I believe to be the best looking upcoming gacha games with the largest potential and chance for success. And also some of the hottest waifus, because, you know, that's important. Welcome to my list of the best upcoming action gacha games of 2025. Now, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the little bell notification, that way you remain up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post daily. Do not miss out. I'm gonna kickstart this with Abyss Knights, a segregated world action game with a top-down isometric perspective. It plays like Lost Ark, Diablo, Path of Exile. Every zone seems to be large and filled with a variety of different things to do, objects to engage with, and unique enemies to kill. Beta tests have already been held, with pre-registration for upcoming test phases currently open. A global release has not been confirmed. Arknights Endfield is a spin-off and add-on to the already pre-existing Arknights universe, set in a different world with different characters. Endfield looks to feature a semi-open world, not the same scale as Wuwa or Genshin, but much more open than an instance game. It also utilizes, rather than a full action combat system, a hybrid combat system with slowdowns and tactical elements, which really could add a lot of interesting dynamics to combat. Beta tests have already been held, with pre-registration open for both upcoming test phases and launch. A global release has been confirmed. Azur Promilia is an open-world action game from the developers of Azur Lane. It features a fast, fluid action combat system that not only makes use of individual characters, but also pets with their own distinct elemental affinities. In an effort to distinguish themselves among their competition, Promilia seems to have implemented a lot more casual aspects than other games, featuring a fully functional farming system, including recruiting monsters that you can capture, ground and aerial mounts, and more, making this arguably one of the most unique upcoming gacha games right now. Beta tests have not been held yet, but pre-registration is open for upcoming test phases and launch. A global release has been confirmed. Much like Abyss Knights, Black Beacon is a top-down isometric action game with a dark aesthetic. Little is known about the game at present. It is going to feature a segregated world and will likely be narrative and chapter driven like Punishing Grey Raven or Honkai Impact. Beta tests have already been held, with pre-registration for upcoming test phases open. A global release has not been confirmed. Code Seigetsu is essentially Punishing Grey Raven set in Honkai Star Rail's world. It's full action, it's fast, and it feels impactful. However, rather than instanced environments like Punishing Grey Raven or Honkai Impact, Seigetsu seems to offer much larger, much more open zones to explore. How open? Unconfirmed at present. Beta tests have already been held, with pre-registration for upcoming test phases and launch open. A global release has not been confirmed, but is speculated. Duet Night Abyss is one of the upcoming action games that I've had the pleasure of playing, although to call it a normal action game would be a disservice to what it actually is. A hybrid action third-person shooter. Imagine if someone took Warframe and then gave it the addition of action combat from Honkai Impact. That is Duet Night Abyss. Unlike Genshin or Wuwa, this is not going to feature an open world. Rather, the world is enormous, but it is split between zones. Regions, I guess, would be a more accurate description. They're several times larger than Honkai Star Rail zones, but still separated by loading screens. You can fully interact with the environment, you can wall run, glide, providing a lot of ways to traverse the world with some incredible third-person shooting involved. Beta tests have evidently been held, with pre-registration for upcoming test phases and launch open. A global release has been confirmed. Before we go any further, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are phenomenal, and I can't thank you all enough for the support. Now let's keep talking. Neverness Everness is an open world action game from the developers of Tower of Fantasy. It features an enormous open world in the form of a large city, very reminiscent of GTA. Much like GTA, and in an effort to set itself apart from its competition, Neverness has implemented a functional vehicle system, allowing players to not only buy and customize their own car, but to also drive it. Sadly, hitting old grannies for plus 25 points is not a thing. Beta tests are currently being held with pre-registration for upcoming test phases and launch open. A global release has been confirmed. Project Mugen is an enormous open-world action game, much like Neverness, set in a large, sprawling city. This is the game that Neverness took inspiration from, and it honestly does share a lot of similarities. Functional vehicles, the aesthetic, the world. Beta tests have not been held yet, but pre-registration is open for upcoming test phases and launch. A global release has been confirmed. Unending Dawn is essentially Genshin Impact if the traveler ended up in the world of Elden Ring rather than Teyvat. It features a large open world to explore, but I believe is less of a focus on the exploration aspect, prioritizing combat, which really should be good. Beta tests may have been held. I actually couldn't find any information pertaining to any tests at all, nor is pre-registration open for upcoming test phases or launch. A global release, however, is expected. Viridity Dreamland was just announced like a week ago and is already making waves due to its great looking characters and interesting style of gameplay. Rather than opting for an open world, Viridity is going to feature a full horizontal side-scrolling style of play, allowing for both vertical and horizontal movement. Beta tests have not been held yet, but pre-registration is open for upcoming test phases and launch. A global release has not been confirmed, but is speculated. Wang Yue might very well be the most unique upcoming gacha game in this entire list. It features a fully open world, action combat, so that has already been done, but much like Project Mugen and Neverness, Wang Yue is going to feature a type of vehicle management. However, this is a much deeper, much more complex system, with you being able to build and customize every aspect of it, altering the appearance entirely depending on what parts you construct it with. Also, not being stuck on the ground. You can fly your vehicles. It is also going to feature AI NPCs and AI side stories and side quests to attempt to keep the game feeling fresh and alive, which is an interesting concept, admittedly. Beta tests have been held already with pre-registration for upcoming test phases and launch open. A global release has not been confirmed, but is speculated. White Noise Survival is essentially a less polished Punishing Grey Raven or Honkai Impact, and I say less polished not necessarily as an insult here, rather I hope they take sufficient time to drastically upgrade every facet of the game so it can compete with current gen titles. It's exactly like the aforementioned games though, featuring instanced chapters and missions. It looks good though, just not great. Beta tests have already been held with pre-registration for upcoming test phases and launch open. A global release has not been confirmed but is speculated. And they are 12 upcoming action gacha games that I am looking forward to either playing or testing at some point next year in 2025. Hopefully, you found a few games to add to your list. Hey you, where do you think you're going? Don't you close out of this tab. I didn't give you permission to do that. Sit your ass back down. Click one of the 2 videos that are gonna be on screen in just a moment and keep watching my content. Keep enjoying my content.